are going to be the crosshairs of the entire world. And we want to send the country and the world a message that the media doesn't select our president, the money doesn't select our president, the message selects our president. And we believe the guy with the right message is a governor from Hope, Arkansas that will not marry Hillary Clinton. He's a governor from Hope, Arkansas that's going to beat Hillary Clinton. Help me welcome Governor Mike Huckabee.
Thank you very much. I thought the crowd was all out in the hallway, and I had no idea this many people were here. I tell you what, next time we will rent a larger room. How's that? I've got a great night which to do it. I think maybe the evening of January 3rd might be a good night to do it. And of course, now you have to be at your caucus that night and then come together and we'll get all the results. But we're excited and expecting a magnificent night, January the 3rd. And by the way, I don't care who's playing in the Orange Bowl. I don't care what is going on. We need you at caucus that night if you're going to vote for me. And if you're not going to vote for me, we need you to watch the Orange Bowl or see relatives in Illinois. Or just know this, if it snows real bad that day, shovel all of your snow out of your driveway so you can get out. But if you have a neighbor that's going to vote for one of those other guys, just put the snow right there behind your car and don't let them out at all. I want to say thanks. This is exciting, and I think all of you have probably been keeping up with the fact that we're now leading in the polls, but it's not just here in Iowa. It happened because of Iowa. But just a few moments ago, we were watching the latest breaking news, and we're now across the national polls in first place nationally. We were in Texas yesterday trying to raise a little money so we could say Merry Christmas to people here in Iowa. And by the way, I know it's probably very controversial, but may I just say to you, Merry Christmas. And we were in Texas, and one of the reporters for one of the networks came up and said, now, Governor, you know, you're doing well in Iowa, and they went through all the things, but tell me, how are you going to be able to go from there? I mean, your opponent has outspent you 20-1 in Iowa, and he has. And he's got more organization, more staff, more consultants, more of this, more of that, and went through the whole litany. And said, what do you think that means? I said, well, all I know is this, that if I had that much money, that many consultants, that many employees, that many different headquarters, that much paraphernalia, I might be as far behind as he is. We think that things are happening because of folks like you. Frankly, over the past few weeks, a lot of people have started realizing that running for president is not about just saying, I've got a lot of money, you ought to vote for me. It's about saying, I understand where you come from. Now, a lot of you have been watching all these television commercials here in Iowa the last few days. You know, if I believed all that stuff, I wouldn't even vote for me, I gotta tell you. For me, it's stuff I've seen every time I've ever run. Always, it's we call the kitchen sink approach. They'll throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at us, which means they're truly desperate. But you know why we're still leading? It's because while our opponents are throwing the kitchen sink, the people of Iowa and the people of America know that we're the campaign that's representing the ordinary, average American who sits around the kitchen table and worries about his next paycheck and the future for his children. And that's why we're doing well in these polls, and that's why we're going to win, and that's why we're going to the White House. And it'll be an amazing journey when the White House is occupied by somebody who's not necessarily Ivy League, but who everybody else has written off as Bush League. Somebody who's not the country club Republican, but the Boys and Girls Club kind of Republican. Somebody who might not be the wine and cheese crowd, but who's the crackers and cheese crowd, but still worked awfully hard to get where he got. I represent a lot of folks like you who understand that the American dream is about knowing that you can start at the bottom, but you don't have to stay there. And there are a lot of people all across this country, wherever I go, and they come to me and they put their hand in mine with a firm grasp. They look me in the eye, They tell me they're praying for me, and then they tell me this. They say, we know that if you can get there, I can tell my son he can get there too, and my daughter, and the future generations. Folks, this is not just a political campaign about electing somebody. It's not about me anymore. It's about this country being able to once again say that it's not just those who are well-heeled in the corporate interest of Wall Street and Washington that we ought to be listening to. It's the folks who live on Main Street, who live out here in places like Iowa and Arkansas, where we've been sort of overlooked and neglected and forgotten. And to say that what we think about and value, it does matter. Now, you know, over the last few days, you've heard a lot of stuff on the television. It used to be you'd go to your mailbox during the Christmas season, and you look forward to going at Christmas because you got those nice messages from the postcards. Now you go and you get all this poison that tells you how bad the other people are. You haven't seen that stuff from us. Because we want to believe that the presidency ought to be about who you're for, not what's wrong with the opponent. My opponents have been hitting me hard with stuff. One of the ads running here in Iowa says that, we've had all these clemencies. Well, let's set the record straight about that. My opponent saw 100 requests come to his desk in the entire time he was governor. I saw 8,700 come to mine. 8,700. And 90% of them I denied. Now, some of them were like the 25-year-old student who wanted to go to culinary school and learn to be a chef. But when he was 18 years old, he had taken a joyride in a car that someone else had stolen. He happened to be with the guy, and so he got charged, and that was on his record. That blot on his record when he was 18 kept him from being able to go to school and get the job that he wanted. That was a clemency. Now, personally, I think that was the right thing to do, to give that young man a second chance, because I'd rather him be working as a chef than I had to be unemployed and probably being up to no good out running on the streets with nothing to do and no job. Many of the clemencies were 35-year-old single moms trying to raise a couple of kids and get a job, entry level into the nursing home, long-term health business. They couldn't get hired because we require background checks for people who work in daycares and nursing homes. And they wrote a hot check when they were 17, 18 years old. That's on their record. Now they can't get hired. The process is the board makes the recommendation, I look at it and make those decisions. I think those are good decisions, and I stand by them. My opponent had a case where there was a kid who was 13 years old. He shot a friend of his with a BB gun in the arm. Didn't even break the skin, but there was a charge filed over it. The kid went on to work his way through college, and after college, he joined the Massachusetts National Guard. He was sent to Iraq, served honorably, worked in warfare in combat in the Sunni Triangle, received the Bronze Star for his combat efforts in Iraq. He had a dream. That dream was he wanted to be a police officer when he got back to Massachusetts, having served his state in the National Guard and his nation in the military. But he came back and he applied for a clemency so that he could get that off his record. That little incident when he was 13 years old. My opponent, even though it was twice recommended to the parole board, twice said no to that request. Here's a young man who made a mistake when he was 13. Now, you'll have to just decide whether or not you believe that we ought to make decisions based on our own political futures or on the future of some guy who's gone and went to war for this country. I think we ought to make decisions on what's best for the future of a young man, not what's best for the future of somebody who wants to run for a future office. The smart political move is always to deny every single one of them. But I'm going to tell you, when I'm president, just like when I was governor, I'm going to act in the best interest as if that's your kid out there who's got that application before me. And I'd like to think that if your kid deserves it, I'd rather thinking about the future of your kid than just the next race that I might be fighting. My opponent says there's something about judgment. I'll put mine up to his any day, because my judgment is you act in the best interest of the people who elected you, not in your own best interest. That's leadership, and that's judgment.